Insurance solution you need is finally here. Allianz Life and MTN have partnered to bring you a world-class life insurance product called Allianz for Life. To sign on, dial star 170 hash on MTN, and we have the most affordable premiums and exciting benefits. So pick up your phone, dial star 170 hash, follow the prompts, and let's get you and your loved ones covered. For more information, call Allianz Life Insurance on 0302 267 892 or visit our website. That's allianz-gh.com. Allianz for Life, Mato for me life.
All right, so here's our plan for this morning. Obviously, there are lots and lots of concerns. We have gone out. Yesterday, we went out and spoke to parents at some of the senior high schools here in Accra who are going through the process as we speak of getting their kids, into the schools that they've been placed in. And they've described their issues to us. We're going to hear from them. And then afterwards, Dr. Kwabena Bempatano, who is the Deputy Director General responsible for quality and access at the Ghana Education Service, will help us navigate these issues and figure out the way forward. Then we'll also get you to call in with your questions, and he will help us answer them. All right? So that's how we're doing this. Let's begin by finding out what we learned when we hit the streets yesterday and spoke to several parents whose wards are in the process of entering SHS 1.
My daughter hasn't get a school, so I'm coming for school for her. I'm looking for school.
So of the 6 schools, she was not given any of them?
No. They haven't given any reason. They collect all the forms, and they told us we should go. They will call us back after they finish.
Okay. So what schools did she choose?
Abri, Sectec, and Mansinai.
Okay.
Right now, they give us 3 schools for which to choose. So I'm expecting them to call us. Right now, we have chosen Abri Sectec now again, and Mansinai and Kropon.
Her colleague started school yesterday. They at least reported to school yesterday. Are you not worried about that?
My daughter is swollen. It nearly take a drug, killing herself. So I'm pleading for them to help me to get to school for my daughter.
Oh, I was very sad. I thought I'll get my first choice or my second choice, but actually I didn't get none of them. Oh, I hope I'll get a better school. When I didn't get school, I thought maybe I'll go and write again, but my dad is helping me to get a school, so I'm bold and I'm sure I'll get a school.
This week, about my small girl, we write everything that they say we should done. We done it, but since yet we don't see anything. That's why I came here again. Yeah, I came here because of I came here last week, and I brought the paper there. They didn't call us. That's why I came here again.
Priscilla, what exactly are you here to do?
I'm here because I didn't get a school at all.
Wow. I mean, what schools did you choose?
I chose schools near just in Accra because I didn't want to go far. But then when it came out, one of my schools was mixed up. I didn't choose a particular school, but I got it. So because of that, I think that's the reason why I didn't really get the school that I wanted. So I didn't get.
What school are you talking about?
I chose this one, O'Reilly, Osudoku, St. Martin's. That's the school that got mixed up. Odogono. Those are the schools I chose.
So what are you hoping to do right now?
I'm hoping to get a school because nowadays in Ghana, if you don't really go to senior high, you won't get any appropriate job to do. That's why.
Normally, with the system, if the ward does well, you don't have the problem. And I can say this year with the system, it has been it's been much improved than the previous years.
There are some parents who came previously and they were a bit stressed out. A lot of people were here and they had to go back and forth. What would be your advice to parents who have to come through this process to make sure they have it as smooth as you did?
Thank you very much. Starting from last year, what I learned was we had a school. I'm a retired pastor of the Church of Pentecost. So we had a school at Winneba. So from my observation and then my contact with the system, we got to know the parents has to be schooled, especially in the school selection.
What has been your experience so far? How did you find your child's name on the notice board?
Yes, my daughter's name was on the notice board. So we went through everything. That was last Friday. But we could not complete the whole thing because we were not having the best sets. And National Health Insurance card, they were not ready by then. So I renewed the National Health Insurance card yesterday, and we came back yesterday to see them. We were told that we came late, so we should go and come back today for the prospectus. So when we came back today, she was taken upstairs to, I think, I don't know, a general, I don't know whether it's a staff common room or so. And she was told that the file is missing. So we should wait for the one who worked on the file. That was last Friday to come over before we can complete the whole registration process and then take our prospectus. So we are still waiting.
So when they say the file is missing, what exactly do they mean? Is it not an electronic process? How can the file be missing?
That's what I don't understand. I don't understand the whole thing.
What did you say when you asked them?
After my daughter filled the form, as I said, she was referred to those who work on the computer, and they transferred everything, or let me say they entered everything on the PC. So I was even saying that if it's a file that you cannot retrieve, at least the information will be on the PC. So with that information, give us a prospectus and let us get back home and buy the things that the child is supposed to buy so that she comes back to school, because others have already reported to school.
So yeah, a number of teachers, parents, sharing their experience. I think there's a second part to this that we didn't have time to play, where they told us about their experience of registering and going through the process of putting their kids on the system to be placed, getting their results and all of that. So I think we have quite a lot to go on, and perhaps we'll start with what we've just heard. Dr. Ben Patando, a few issues coming out there.
Okay, well...
actually, forgive me, before we get into that, we also have the sound of Philip Ibubonzi Simpson, who used to be the rector of GIMPA. He was at the Mfansipim Forum, organized by Mfansipim, and he was speaking on this same issue. He had a few thoughts to share. Perhaps we'll hear him as well, and then you can respond to all issues together.
Sure.
In Ghana, out of all the levels of school, it's only secondary school that there's computer placement. There is a time for us to evaluate it. Those computers who operate them, is it not human beings? Is it not human beings? The school authorities, the headmaster, should be allowed within a certain framework, a majority, of course, on merit. But there's a place for all students. There's a place for the church. There's a place for children of staff. There's a place, a small portion for protocol. The school authorities should be allowed within a certain framework to admit their own students. And who said when they were admitting their own students, they were admitting chaff? And who said when computer admits them, they are necessarily admitting geniuses? There's need for evaluation, and even Mfansipim, and at a stakeholders conference like this, we can't make that case. Then indeed, Ghana is a poorer for it. But Mfansipim will make that case, and Ghana will be the richer.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Ben Patando, I think we can dive right in. Lots to consider.
Well, thank you very much, and greetings to your listeners. And those who are viewing online as well. I think that it's been close to a year. The last time I was in this studio was May 28th, 2021. And it wasn't chaotic. It was educational.
I agree.
And we're here to do the same thing. I think what happens every year around placement, as Kojo said, will continue to happen. It will continue to happen because every year we have a new set of parents and a new set of students. One of the joys of being in education is that the age of your students remain the same. You're always, especially at the pre-tertiary level, we are always working with 4 to 18-year-olds or 4 to 20-year-olds. But what we need to understand fundamentally is that the people who are going through this process now were not paying attention last year because it was not them. And it's fine. That is absolutely what happens every year. But we would also like to let everybody know that we don't go into this process blind. Every year, in mosque, in trotros, in buses, in churches, in community centers, our teams go around in schools, junior high schools across the country, both public and private junior high schools. And we educate parents, teachers, students on the process. And every year, we know that we would expect these problems. That is why what we have done over the past 4 or 5 years is to establish solution centers, and a number of them, online solution centers, over the telephone, as well as in-person solution centers in all of our 260 districts, regional offices, as well as here in Greater Accra at the national level, so that people who were unable to really understand the explanations that we so very much gave, that we're able to support them, because at the end of the day, it doesn't help anybody if students don't go to school. And so we want to assure the public that as Ghana Education Service, as the Ministry of Education, we are really, really focused on ensuring that there is a transition from junior high school to senior high school for all students who are eligible to transition. So we do recognize, just like Kojo said, that this will be an annual issue. We have also, however, seen that over the years, the challenges are going down. There are new ones that are coming. And right off the bat, I know that it is one of the things that we have talked about, is the idea of corruption, that people are charging monies. And this year, we are very, very serious about it, because fingers are pointing to senior people within the ministry as well as the Ghana Education Service. I can tell you on authority that yesterday my Director General actually wrote to the Ghana Police Service, to IGP. He also wrote officially to NIB, former BNI, for independent investigations into some of these claims. I would also encourage the general public. Free senior high school means free. I know that because of desperation and the fact that people are set on certain schools, sometimes they let their desperations allow them to be duped. It is, I'll speak a little bit of tree here. My wife likes to say that one of our biggest challenges as a people is that gate da house that the gate is open, but we have this culture of wanting to jump the wall. We have a culture of influence peddling in this country. And so while you can go on self-placement and look for a school, you want to show everybody that I know the Deputy Director General. And so I will call him for a special favor. And this culture is what is breeding the opportunists to take advantage of people. And so we plead with the general public. We plead because money cannot change hands if you don't agree to it. It is not a one-way street. If you come to the Ghana Education Service, and I, as Deputy Director General, demands of money of you, and you choose not to give me that money, you do not complete the corruption cycle. So it is a two-way street, and we will plead with the general public. Let us go through the processes. Now, let me explain what the processes are, then we will take questions. And in explaining the processes, I would also answer some of the questions. The notion that either I did not get a school or they did not place me in a school. Let me explain what they are. What we have realized, at least over the past 5-6 years, is that everybody is only focused on their first choice. After their first choice, they don't think that anything else is part of what they selected. But since 2017, we have gradually moved from 3 choices, then to 4, to 5, and this year to 6 choices. But what we consistently see, and today is an education for all of us, especially parents whose children are in Form 2, Form 1, and lower. What is happening now is water under the bridge. But let us learn from the fact that you have 6 choices. And you must select 6 choices of schools that you are willing to attend if you get any of them. Don't bank all of your hopes on Presec and just choose any other 5 schools and then turn around and say, they put me. The system, which is merit-based and algorithm-based, will not put you in any school you did not choose. That's first. Number 2, we want people to categorically understand that the system is merit-based. It is merit-based first by school choice, it is merit-based by program, and it is merit-based by residential preference of the student. So the 3 of us are sitting here. Let me use the 3 of us as an example. I'm not going to use my school because people say I talk about my school, but I'll use my school.
Use my school.
I won't use your school. I'll use Prempeh College. We won the National Math and Science quiz.
Congratulations.
So I must use it. Thank you. So the 3 of us want to go to Prempeh College. The 3 of us know that we are all top students from our school. I went to my JHS. You went to another LA school and so forth and on. And we have our grades. We all chose Prempeh College. We all chose science. We all chose boarding for Prempeh College. Now the system will take all of the, say, 2,000 students who chose Prempeh College, chose science, and chose boarding, and will rank them in order of performance. First by aggregate, where there is a tie in aggregate, and it will rank by raw score. And Prempeh College, even though there were 2,000 students that chose science, Prempeh College has only 200 spaces for science. Out of those 200 spaces, 150 of those spaces are boarding, which means that 2,000 people who chose Prempeh Science boarding, we are only competing for 150 spaces, which is 7.5% of the people who chose will make it. Now, when we compete and say Kojo is brilliant, so Kojo got into Prempeh with his aggregate 6, 520 raw score. Winston and I did not get into Prempeh because maybe I got aggregate 11, Winston got aggregate 9. So we couldn't get in because the last person at Prempeh College for science boarding was 6, maybe raw score 518. Winston and I will be moved to our second choice school. And in our second choice school, we will still go to compete. So the system, even though somebody chose that school first, when we come in, we will compete on merit for that same science, boarding, and the school. If we don't make it, we'll move to our third choice school. And if we chose science and boarding, we'll keep competing. Now, I must caution people. Yes, we want a lot more people to do science. But you should know that that is also a competitive field, and I will not discourage people from there. But it is the reason why someone with an aggregate 11 or 12 may not get a school.
Doc, before you continue, let me just get a bit of clarification. So, if I move from my first choice to my second choice, will preference be given to those who chose it as first choice, or I go and join them and be considered on equal basis with those who chose it as first choice?
You will be considered on equal basis. So you come to this place. If you are better than some of those students who are in science, you display, even though it's their first choice, you displace them.
Okay.
That is how the algorithm works. It is totally merit. That is how it works. Now, let me also explain something to you. Maybe another person, I came with a colleague of mine called Bernard. Maybe Bernard chose Prempeh College. He chose a different program. He got aggregate 9. But then he got in. It is based on the competitive nature of the particular program. So we also see a lot of parents say, my child got 7, didn't get into Prempeh, but I've seen someone with an 11 that went into Prempeh. What program did your child choose and what residency status? Now, because you also chose a boarding, there may be space in Prempeh Science, but it's for day. So we won't even take you there to compete. Why? Because if we give you Prempeh and we give you day, you'll be the same one on radio saying, I chose Prempeh boarding, they have given me day. So fundamentally, it is the choice process that really displaces a lot of people. Now let's come to the coast now, and let me help you to understand. Most people will choose a lot of the Cape Coast Category A schools as their first choice. Wesley Girls, Holy Child, Fancy Pim, Disadel, St. Augustine's. Those are the schools people would like to choose as their first choice. Guess what happens? Those same students choose Agri Memorial National as second and third choice. So it's the same top students competing for second and third. So most of them are again displaced. Then they will come and choose, say, Achimota as their day option. Achimota is a very highly competitive school. So you could get an aggregate 11 and not get a school because of your choice pattern. And because of the fact that you are not an island unto yourself. You are competing with 571,000 children in this country. And based on choice processes, you may be displaced. But what we have done is that we do know that because people will be displaced based on their choice patterns, the system then immediately allows you to go into self-placement. When you go into self-placement, and I can speak on authority, there are over 500 schools still available on self-placement. But in this country, we think that only 60 or 70 schools are schools. And that is our problem. And so everybody, when I was listening to all of the conversations, one of the parents said, they didn't give me a school. What did they? You chose it. And based on, I'm not talking down to any parent, but I think we need to be sincere with ourselves. That the selection process and your choice patterns can create these challenges for you. Now, I would also appeal, especially to students. I know most of them have gone to school now. But please, 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 this is not a life and death situation. It breaks my heart that a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old young man or young woman would contemplate in any situation that they should end their life because of a school. It is disheartening. But I think that we also have responsibilities as parents and the general community and people to get our young people to understand that in our trajectory through life, there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be failures. There are going to be issues there are going to be times when we are not going to get what we want. It does not mean that life ends. I like one of the quotes from Michael Jordan, that in the 6 or 7 rings that he won in the NBA, he probably lost over 2,000 games. And so we need people to understand that it is always an issue of helping our young people to also understand. And parents, please, please, and I will say please again, pay attention during the selection process. Don't wait until the end for these things to happen. I also heard a particular person talk about the fact that they placed me in a school I did not choose. I really wish we had index numbers so that we can actually go and search and see that the system will never, at any point, that one I will put my hand in fire for that system, put you in a school you did not choose. People who usually say that means they did not get their first choice. And I think that we need to be fair with ourselves. The last issue that I realized there is the issue of missing files when people are going to do the enrollment process.
Yes.
It was a bit confusing because it is an electronic system. It's an IT system, and the files are online. So I don't see how a school in the registration process will talk about missing files. Maybe after this interview, off air, maybe you can share with me at least the name of the school, because you were the ones on the ground. And if you can share with me the name of the school, we can do some investigations there. Then Professor, former GIMPA rector, raised some issues around the computer selection process. We all know how we got to this point as a country. One of the things that I would like to at least draw the former rector's attention to is the fact that Junior high school to senior high school transition is not one-to-one, like basic school to junior high school. You have close to 18,000 public and private junior high schools, moving into about 750 public schools. And the placement is only for public schools. Obviously, the private schools, people opt to apply for private schools. So I think it is only fair that we use a merit-based system to ensure that people are able to get into schools based on their performance. Then the last thing I would mention before, I know we want to open the line so that people can call, but the last thing I would like to mention is this. We ask students to begin to report on April 4th. We at the management of Ghana Education Service know that between April 4th and April 18th, what is happening in our schools, especially for Form 1s, is the registration process, the orientation process, the admissions process, and all of those things. Academic work will not begin until after Easter, the 19th of April. Because we do know, just like even the professor talked about, there is always a small portion for protocol. Students will continue to move, students may continue to change schools and such. And so we do know that there will still be that. So we have allowed this period to be more of the orientation, registration, and such to help our students to settle into school. Right. So we want people to take heart, but we also want to assure people that this morning I actually checked. We had about 167,000 people who were on self-placement to begin with. I can confidently say, as of this morning, that 127,506 of them had successfully selected their school. We know that as I speak to you now, over 270,000 have successfully, in the past week and a half, completed the enrollment process. We know that another 189,000 have begun the enrollment process. So we know that at least 440,000 students have either completed or are in the process of enrollment. And I think that that should give us a bit of comfort. Okay. And we ask Ghanaians to at least work with us so that the process can continue. And we also promise that whatever hiccups are in the system, we will continue to work on them.
Okay. We want to very quickly get to the point where we can take your calls, but I think there's one question I'd like to hear you very quickly answer before we take a break and then come back for some calls. Protocol. Mm-hmm. Who is entitled to protocol spaces, and how does that system work?
Thank you. I think as the professor said, there are old students, and so you have legacy on admissions. In every school in the world, there are legacy admissions. There are teachers who work in schools who would also want the benefit of their children being in those schools. So you have old students, you have teachers. Now, in our country, Ghana, most of our schools are mission schools, be it Christian missions or Islamic missions. And the missions themselves sometimes need spaces, especially in the seminaries, for seminarians, people they want to go into a training for seminarians, as well as people who work in the missions would want opportunities for their children either to be educated as Presbyterian or Catholic or Ahmadiyya and so on. So you have, because we work with missions, then we have staff of GES as well as the ministry, and of course there are people that request for protocol based on their relationships with staff within the GES or in the ministry and so forth. Protocol in any school in this country only represents 10% of the spaces available.
Have you finished with all the groups that are entitled to protocol? Is that the full
Those are the key groups. Obviously, there are other stakeholders. You know,
how about ministers, MPs, politicians?
They are stakeholders, and
party executives.
We do not necessarily consider political party executives, but we do consider our friends in the media. I have received at least 8 or 9 protocol requests from friends in the media. They are key stakeholders. You know.
So, I mean, either way, you have 10% of space.
So let me explain. Out of that 10%, 5% of that 10% is the school itself, the head of the school. The head of the school is able to use it to support all students, missions, teachers in the school. One of the things that we want to ensure is that if you teach in a school and your child at least get to school going age and you want your child to be in that school, that you should at least get an opportunity. The pressure is absolutely ridiculous on heads because the request for protocol is very high. On the GES side, apart from the teachers in all of the schools, we have 364,000 employees. At any given time, about 5 to 10% of our employees, their children are at senior high school level. So at the headquarters side, we also use some of that protocol to support. We have staff of the Ministry of Education as well as other ministries. We have colleagues and other stakeholders in CSOs, media partners. We have all different kinds of support that people request from us. Now, protocol is not only for Category A schools. We do protocols for all of our schools. Please, it's also important to understand, every school in this country sits on a land owned by traditional rulers. Traditional rulers are probably one of our largest requests for protocol. Because one of the key ways that children of Cape Coast are able to go to some of the best schools in Cape Coast is that they go to the Omahene of Egua traditional area. And Omahene uses his protocol to ensure that some of his own subjects and his own children are able to have access. And that happens all across the country, from my hometown of Goso. So those are all key things that we do. But 90% of the spaces are reserved for merit-based.
Which is good. And it does make me worry about that 10%. Because you take a school like St. Augustine's or Wesley Girls or Prempeh College, demand is high. Only 10% is going to protocol. I mean, the teachers alone. No, I mean, I'm not complaining that it should be increased.
Yes.
I'm saying that because it's a small number, the pressure must be high and the corruption must be equally high. Because if the teachers alone would fill that 10%. So where do the GES staff come in? The GES staff who might be helping media or any of the other stakeholders, or Manhene or all these other groups. Where will theirs even come in, and how does it get decided who gets the protocol spaces?
Well, we do have a criteria. If we have requests from an Omahene, it takes precedence. Because it is on their land that they, for almost all of our public schools, government do not pay for that land. It is ceded either by Gamanche or any other Manche or Mahene to say that this is for education. And so in exchange, we take their request very seriously, especially when it's with their subjects. Yes, you are right. There is pressure on protocol. But we also do know that a lot of times, sometimes people request protocol before the placement system happens. After the placement system happens, some of those people are able to, by merit, get into their schools. And then, based on the officers within who have access to the protocol, they are able to make those determinations. But yes, I would tell you on authority that especially at the school level and even at headquarters, very high priority is given to Omahenes, teachers who want their children in schools, and so forth and on. And then, of course, there are other stakeholders.
So the protocol decisions are made by GES, not by headmasters.
Headmasters make their protocol decisions on their 5% that has been allocated.
They have 5%.
Let's just say PRESEC is 1,000 students that are coming in. That means headmaster has access to 50. Now that 50, the Presbyterian Church must be included. All students must be included. Traditional rulers must be included. But traditional rulers are included on both sides. They can come to the GES side or to the headmaster side. And then other requests that they may get, are also included. What I would say though, that prior to this 10% protocol, we had what was called the 30% local or catchment area which was used or disabused? Because we saw a lot of children who were in Accra, but somehow will get into a school in, say, Kumasi or Cape Coast in a catchment area, and that was a bit confusing. So, we have actually seeded more of those spaces to merit a base.
Okay, we need to make time for calls. So we're going to take some messages from our partners, and then we'll take your questions on the Super Morning Show. Stay with us.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
The feeling of being the champion of the famous childhood game, Pilolo, is like knowing a secret that no one knows and using it to your advantage. That is the feeling of being on Ghana's favorite network and getting your money's worth. With Airtel Tigo, you can get exciting tailor-made products and services that work for you. Dial *111#. Select option 1 for big-time data to enjoy data that doesn't expire, and option 4 for Sika Koko to enjoy huge data at little cost.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Hail City Productions in partnership with Joy FM, Joy Prime, and Hits FM present My Wife or My Life.
The report says you are 8 weeks pregnant instead of 4. Why?
I'm sorry.
What are you saying?
You're not the father of the baby.
What?
Directed by Kojo Delong and features Joanne Gadede, Clemento Suarez, Bright Jefferson, General Ntatia, and many more.
Tell me, who is responsible for this pregnancy?
It's
Bullet. This same Bullet I know. This son of a lesser god of all the useless people in this country. Bullet, who looks like a polytank. Hey, Uncle Ima. Hey, well, Uncle Ima, get ready to welcome a polytank junior into your family. Thank you very much.
Showing at the National Theatre on Saturday 16th and Sunday the 17th of April 2022 at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. each night. Rate 80 Ghana cedis. Dial *713*33*30# to purchase your ticket on all networks. You can also purchase your ticket at Money's Food, Community 25 Mall Tema, and Joy FM Front Desk. For enquiries, please call 025-6868-640. It's supported by GH Media, Money's Food, and Cross City Productions. The Experience.
Wow, I just paid my taxes right now. Since they started this pay from anywhere, it has become easier, cra.
Easy, cra. Now nobody has an excuse. So long journey, no ye jai. Tax, why? Effie, don't tell me you have not been paying taxes, so.
No, I'm tired of paying. Don't be. It's the taxes we pay that government will use to improve the markets and to build the nation. Oh, I don't know. It just takes your whole day.
Hey, you mean you have been going to the GRA office?
Effie, unye current cra. Come and join us. So I'm not paying taxes, no.
Pay your taxes online, at the bank, or from your phone. Together, we can build a great nation. GRA.
Do you know you can protect your family and property by purchasing our Millennium Enhanced Home Insurance policy? Or renew your policy to enjoy improved benefits? Talk to us today by calling 0501 285827 or 0302 766633. You can visit our website www.millenniuminsurancegh.com. Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner.
My neighbor, when match they catch pet, you go here say if they shout.
My husband no get one single romantic bone for him body, yet he always they hug the cushions their things. Oh, you go here be.
Kojo dear, he go fight you anytime you wake him up for school, but he comes Saturday morning. Hey, all you go here be.
It's mission time.
You too for live your stories with correct football, correct local drama, then magical kiddie entertainment with only 50 Ghana cedis a month. DSTV, it's your moment.
Hail City Productions, in partnership with Joy FM, Joy Prime, and Hits FM, present My Wife or My
The
Life.
report says you are 8 weeks pregnant instead of 4. Why?
I'm sorry.
What are you saying?
You're not the father of the baby.
What?
Directed by Kojo Delong and features Joanne Gatete, Clemento Suarez, Bright Jefferson, General Ntatia, and many more.
Tell me, who is responsible for this pregnancy?
It's
Bullet. This same Bullet I know. This son of a lesser god of all the useless people in this country. Bullet, who looks like a polytank. Hey, Uncle Ima. Hey, well, Uncle Ima, get ready to welcome a polytank junior into your family. Thank you very much.
Showing at the National Theatre on Saturday, 16th and Sunday, the 17th of April 2022 at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. each night. Rate 80 Ghana cedis. Dial star 713 star 33 star 30 hash to purchase your ticket on all networks. You can also purchase your ticket at Money's Food, Community 25 Mall Tema, and Joy FM Front Desk. For enquiries, please call 025-6868-640. It's supported by GH Media, Money's Food, and Cross City Productions. The Experience.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back, and in a moment we'll open the phone lines so that you can ask all the questions you have to Dr. Kwabena Bempah-Tando, Deputy Director General of the Ghana Education Service, responsible for quality and access. First, let's say thank you for all your text messages. They're brought to you every morning by the Glycocritical Illness Plan, GSIP. It's in your best interest to survive.
And at GlycoLife, we believe this is the time to protect your future with our life insurance policies. Our products are designed to offer you peace of mind, especially in this COVID-19 era. So to our policyholders, your claims are very important to us, and we advise you to visit our offices or the GlycoLife website, glycolife.com, to lodge your claims for prompt service. We're surviving COVID-19 together, so please pay your premiums via your chosen mode of payment or by Momo on 0591-441473 or by e-premium for microinsurance to safeguard your policies. Our call center team is ready to support you, so call us on 0202-222-113 for assistance or contact us via our digital channels. Please practice social distancing, keep safe, and trust GlycoLife to cushion you for life.
Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited says check out kingdomstoreonline.com where you can buy whatever you want from them, pay via Momo across all networks, and if you live in Accra or Tema, they will deliver to you free of charge. Terms and conditions apply. At Kingdom, quality and affordability is their hallmark.
Now, did you know that the income of a young entrepreneur from some selected businesses is exempt from tax for 5 years? Any young entrepreneur engaged in manufacturing, ICT, agro-processing, energy production, waste processing, tourism and creative arts, horticulture and medicinal plants does not need to pay income tax on these activities for their first 5 years of operation. And a young entrepreneur engaged in business that enjoys an initial 5-year concession benefits from the following applicable tax rates for an additional 5 years. Accra and Tema, 15%. Other regional capitals outside the 5 regions of the North, 12.5%. And outside other regional capitals, 10%. And for the 5 northern regions, 5%. For further clarification and information, contact your nearest GRA office, Ghana Revenue Authority, integrity, fairness, and service.
Now, we've already heard that Dr. Bempah-Tando doesn't play around with his Cerelac, but it's really great for babies. You know, it helps them develop their palate and prepares them to accept varieties of adult food as they grow. Like Dr. Bempah-Tando can accept all kinds of adult Cerelac right now. So listen, try out all the variants: wheat, maize, rice, biscuity, fruit pieces, and millet. Let your child try them all. And remember, each bowl of Cerelac contains goodness that helps your child's normal growth and development. Cerelac, it's all good, Mom. This advert is FDA approved. And I think it should say it's all good, Mom and Dad. Because it's not only moms who feed babies these days. All right. Listen, call us 0302 216 541 or 055 1111 997. We want to know what your questions are, what your issues are. Do you have clarification that you require? Do you have a unique situation that you need help with? Whatever it is, please call us. But this is important. We have very limited time, so please keep your question to 30 seconds. Okay, we know you would like to go through pleasantries and all that, and we accept that. But please, just go straight to your question so that we can have time for more callers. We have Yao on the line. Yao Apia, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Accra.
Okay.
I want to find out
do they give any consideration to those in the public schools? I'm asking this because we are in the same house. My son attended private school, got aggregate 11. The same subject, the same course they chose at Accra Academy. My son did not get it. But then the other gentleman in the public school had aggregate 14, and he had it.
Okay.
At Accra Academy. And so I'm just trying to find out where we are okay with our second choice. We finish the process.
That's good. We're glad to hear that. So, Okpante John is calling us from Insawam. Hi, Mr. Okpante. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Okay. Your question?
Yeah, the whole student of Father Wiggers have not been placed.
Okay.
And the students are having very...
students of Father...
Reverend Father Wiggers.
Okay.
In Sawam.
All right. Okay.
We can get us even 8 ones and 9 ones, and they have not been placed at all.
Okay.
Okante, please, quickly. Do you know when your results were released? Because I know about your school, about
yes, the results were released. I think a day to the placement coming out. Yeah.
Exactly, because you are also aware that when the results were released, your entire school's results were withheld.
Hello.
You are aware that when the results were released, your entire school's results were withheld.
Yes.
And you are aware that usually results are withheld because of WAEC's suspicion of malpractice.
Yes.
So after WAEC does their investigations, that is when results are released. Of course, after the results are released, your names and your index numbers are loaded into the system. Students can do self-placement. But students that did very well, sincerely did very well, and maybe may have missed out because their results were withheld, these are also opportunities for protocol.
All right.
And so you can go to the school and based on your results, you can request some. But these are some of the things that happen when there are suspected or attempted malpractices that may delay or get entire school's results to be considered.
We don't want to keep people waiting too long on the line, so we're going to take a few questions together and then we'll get answers from Dr. Ben Patando. Salome is calling us from Ridge. Hi, Salome. Good morning. Hello, Salome. Do we have Salome? Oh, we've lost her. Sorry about that. But let's see if we can take a few calls and then we'll get some answers to your questions. Yao called earlier. He wanted to know if there is consideration for public schools over private schools. We've dealt with Mr. Okpante's question. Ni is on the line now. Nick Bakpo, good morning. Where are you calling us from?
From Kwashima.
Kwashima. Okay, what's your question?
Yes, my question is that why should somebody from Accra or from Salaga choose a school like Accra and be put on day? Yeah, my tenant complained about it. The son got a school in the Bono region and is on day, a 15-year-old or 16-year-old.
Okay. All right, we'll get you an answer to that question. Thank you for calling. Daniel is on the line. Where are you calling from, Daniel?
Please, I'm calling from Amomole.
Okay, what's your question?
I want the director to explain to us on, give us more explanation to a situation where you don't get your first choice, you go to your second choice school, and then you go and display somebody who chooses that school as his or her first choice. We want more explanation on that.
Okay. All right. Why would a second choice displace a first choice in any school? Thanks for that, Daniel. Ernest is in Ashaman.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Ernest. Good morning to you. What's your question?
I want to ask if, for instance, this year you have your placement, but for some reasons you are not able to go to the school this year, and you want to make it next year. Is there something that can be done, or you have to resit? That is what I want to know.
So if you want to defer your start, okay. Thank you for that, Ernest. Salifu is in Koforidia, and that will be our fifth caller for now. Salifu, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you?
Not bad at all. Thanks for calling. Your question?
Thank you for bringing the man. I think you should have brought him earlier. My question is, for 5 years now, they've worked on it, and every year there's complaint. What is actually the problem? And media, you people should go behind them and then do the check. Because when you bring him and he talks, and that is the end, the next year we have the same problem. Why?
Okay. Thank you for that. Thanks for your question. All right, so we've got 5 to go on. Let's start with Yawapia, who wants to know whether there's consideration for public schools over private.
Okay. I guess you want me to start from the top. And Yawapia called about from Accra. Now, we want to explain this. We have what we call the public equity placement or spaces. And I tried to explain some of that when I was talking about the protocol. There are category A schools. Prior to Technical and Vocational Education and Training Service, or the TVET service, we had about 55 category A schools, the Achimotas, the Pope Johns, the St. Roses, and such. Now we have 72 category A schools. And in those category A schools, prior to 2017, the schools had what was called 30% catchment area policy to allow the locals opportunity to enter those schools. In 2017, some reviews that were done showed that people who were either resident in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, and such were somehow using their influence to get those 30% catchment area placements into those schools. And so the Ghana Education Service at the time, with the Ministry of Education and other educational stakeholders, we all looked at the policy and we made a decision at the time that the schools in this country that we are doing placements into are public schools in the country. And we do know, based on analysis, that there are lots of really brilliant students in public schools that either prior to the placement systems were not getting access to some of our A schools. And so we decided that a policy change will be that same 30% that was meant for catchment area to support the local children. We would now make it 30% public equity into those 72 category A schools. Here is how it works. That 30% is held only for public school students. That means the students who went to public primary and public junior high school to have access to those schools, also on merit, but they will compete separately. Obviously, if your child goes to a very good private school, their performance on average may be a bit higher. And that is why Mr. Yawapia said that, their child got an 11, the other person got a 14 to Accra Academy. And Accra Academy is one of our category A schools. And so their child didn't get in, but it's because the other person got in on public equity. I must, however, say that already we have seen a cheating of the system. Again, we need to examine ourselves as a people. What we have now seen is that a lot of us are being dishonest and disingenuous. We will take our children to private schools all the way till second semester or second term JHS3, and then we will go and try to maneuver ourselves and register in a public school just so our child can have an advantage in some of these category A schools. That is disingenuous of ourselves. But what we, Ghana Education Service, are now doing is that we now have a registration of all of our students in public school. So if there is an anomaly, I am warning parents, next year, you move your child to private school, your child will not be to a public school, your child will not be registered on the public school system because your child wouldn't have had a continuous registration in public schools.
Okay, so the policy is to favor public schools over private schools.
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, The schools we are talking about in this country that everybody wants to go to
are public schools. Okay. All right.
The second one is Ni Papu from Kwashiman.
That's right. He wants to know
the day issue.
Yes, the day school issue.
Ni, I want to explain it in a number of ways. First, in Ghana, like myself, my family is in Goso, and there is a Hafumai Senior High School. I am saying here in Accra. I may ask my daughter to choose a Hafumai Senior High School and choose a day, because I want them to go stay with either my sister, my mother, or my grandmother. And so in Ghana, it is difficult to tell someone that why are you choosing a particular school as day, because of the way our culture is and moving to live with family. So that is one of the reasons why people will choose a school as day. And we will give it to you as day if you qualify, and based on merit on day, you make it. The other thing we have seen, again, is that a lot of people know that, for example, some of these top-notch schools, the competition is less for day. And so they may choose it day. But if you choose it day, please do not come to the Director General or anybody in GES to say, I live in Nampanduri and my child has been put in Wesley Girls Day. You chose it day.
So no one will be given day if they don't choose.
If they don't choose day.
All right.
So, Ni, I hope that explains the issue. Then we have Daniel from Amale.
He wants you to go over the concept of how a second choice would displace a first choice.
Okay. Daniel, the whole idea is that it's a fair system. And to be fair or based on merit. Even though it is your second choice, or it's my second choice school, when I come into the school, I am competing with everybody regardless of whether they chose it first or second. We know that prior to this system, the way the CHAS system worked was that sometimes you do very well, but you go and choose Prempeh College as second, and they'll say, you've chosen Opokwari over Prempeh, we won't take you. But here, what we are saying is that all the children are Ghanaians. Their first preference was Adisadel. They did not, or their first preference was St. Augustine's. They did not get Adisadel or St. Augustine's. If they go to National, they should not be disadvantaged because they didn't choose National first choice, even though their grade may be better.
But others too chose it first choice. Why don't you give them the preference?
It is a matter of merit, and that's how all merit systems work. It's just a matter.
So
of
you
merit.
are rewarding merit, not loyalty. So you are not entitled to a place just because you chose that school first. So you think it's a good school. So to reward your loyalty or your giving the school fans by choosing it first, they'll give you a position. No.
But then do you know what else would have happened in this country? We would have had thousands of aggregate A students who would or aggregate 6 students who wouldn't get a school. And then it will be uproar in this country that 6 aggregate 6 children didn't get schools. We know that it has always been a merit-based system, and this is the fairest way to ensure that. Then we have Ernest from Ashama, who wanted to ask about, I got admission, I didn't go this year. Do I have to raise it? Ernest, you do not have to raise it. We have what we call a re-entry policy. But when we enter your system or your name for re-entry the following year, you will compete. You will not go into that particular school you got admission school. You will select your schools again and you will compete with children this year to enter. But we do have a re-entry policy. So if for any reason, medical reason, family issues, you are unable to go to school, a re-entry policy will be made available. But you will compete with that year's kids. You won't get preference to a school over them. And again, it's because of a merit system. Then
now,
our last one was...
because of our time, I'm going to kind of modify the last question so you can sort of sum up for us with it. But we're going to have you back so we can take more calls. But the last question was about why this keeps happening every year.
Yes.
You've already kind of talked about that, and it's the fact that those who are not yet going through it are not paying attention to what's happening this year. So they'll come and commit some of the same mistakes. But I'm wondering, can we not perhaps eliminate all this by fully automating the system? So the placement system is supposed to be automated, right? But following that, there is a certain amount of manual activity. You must now go to the school. When you get to the school, you must now go and fill forms and go through all of this. Would it not make sense for us to automate the entire thing? So your child's results come to you via text message with an authentication code. You can go and authenticate, make sure those are the results. Then the placement happens. Then the outcome of the placement comes to you with as a text message with an authentication code, plus the prospectus. So you don't have to come wandering around a school. And then you just get everything done and turn up with your ward on day one. No problem. If there are any issues, there's a call center. So people are not taking days off, running around trying to, fix an automated system with manual activity.
I would say that at this point, probably 85% of our process is automated. Everything you're explaining is automated. And this year, I'm actually happy to see the initiatives taken by CHAS and our heads to actually automate the enrollment process. Now, in a lot of our schools, and while it is not officially from Ghana Education Service, it is something that CHAS has worked with, where as soon as you know your school, you can go to a website called myshsadmissions.com. Saprosoft are marketing you a bit, but they are working with CHAS. And when you go to myshsadmissions.com, you're able to select your school, and all of the things that you should have done manually at the school, you can do online. And when you go to the school, you just print and take it to the school. There are still a few things that must be manually checked. Just like even airline tickets, you still have to go. They have to see your face. They need to do all those things. So the NHIS card, all those things, when you get to the school must verify them. Right. But as at now, I would say 85% of our systems continue to be automated, and we'll continue to improve on them. My plea is that let us pay a bit more attention to our selection process and such.
On that, is it possible, you mentioned that you do some education, but could you do some compulsory workshops at JHS3 for parents?
We do.
You do? Fantastic.
Yes, we do.
Fantastic.
But the sad thing is that they don't pay attention until
it's time, Finally, you wanted to make a clarification on something you said earlier.
The stakeholders, yes, very, very important.
Yes, very important.
What I wanted to say is that if you have a protocol request, you can use our media friends. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What I wanted to make a clarification on is that please, don't pressure your media friends, because when they have protocol, they come through the GES system just like anybody else. They don't have a special allocation to them. So I'm begging you, going to Winston or Kojo, it's not going to automatically get you placement. They come just like you in line. So would request. Sami also wants to say that his name is also part. Don't go to him. But we also want to assure people. I am actually begging people that if we were to actually be sincere with ourselves, yes, there are schools that have names and things like that, but the teacher teaching in Achimota is the same teacher teaching in Ahafuma, because they have the same qualification and everything. And if, as a matter of fact, if we could have more of a distribution of our quality students across all of our schools, rising tides lift all boats. But unfortunately, cream of the crop all want to go to some big name schools. And that is what is creating a lot of problems for us.
Dr. Bempatando, it's always a pleasure to have you. We have to have you back so we can take more calls.
We will come back. Maybe this time it won't take 1 year.
I certainly hope not. All right. And
it was never chaotic.
And thank you to all of you who called us. We appreciate your calls very much. Thanks for listening. It's the Super Morning Show. We're back tomorrow with even more. Until then, my name is Koje Youngson. I'm the morning man.
And I'm Winston. I'm on.
I won't go leg, I won't go Methodist, I won't go tag, I want the house, but my puppy say, how, I won't go.
Joy 99.7 FM.